Good morning, friends. Gremlin Shay here to introduce this vlog. Yes, it's happening. The Court of Silver Flames vlog is happening. I did this with Crescent City last year, and I really enjoyed the process of it. So that is my plan with the Court of Silver Flames. Again, I'm not going to rush to get this video up. I'm going to take my time and just enjoy the book as I go. So last time it took me 3 days to read Crescent City. I don't know how long it's going to take me to read this one, but just know that I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to let it take over my life. And I am off to Target to get my copy. I have heard rumors that some of the publications have like whole chapters missing. So hopefully you guys have your copies straightened out and everything. So I am off to go get my copy and check and make sure all the chapters are there, of course. I've got my mask in the car and I'm off to Target. I will talk to you guys once I've acquired A Court of Silver Flames. Alright, I am home. Book is acquired. I've got me my liquid fuel. And now it's time to sit and start this book. I haven't looked up the description of what the book is about. All I know is this is Cassian and Nesta's book. And that's all I'm going to go into this book with knowing. Because I think it'll be more fun not knowing as much, for me at least. I know a lot of people like to know all the details, and that's why people like to watch videos like this. But I like to go in pretty blind. I am a Maas fan. I'm not going to be hate reading this. If it's awful, I promise to tell you. But I've genuinely enjoyed everything I've read from her thus far. So I'm just going to put that out there. So if you're looking for like a hate rant read of this is not the video. I mean, if it's genuinely bad, I promise, to be honest. But I am very excited to dive into this. It's about 750 pages. It's a hunker. But I like me thick books. Y'all know that. So I'm going to dive in. And once I've got a couple chapters under my belt, I'll come back and talk about what the book is actually about. So I just finished chapter 3, which is about 50 pages into the novel. And so what's going on here is, you know, Nesta's been blowing through all of the money and making everybody look a fool in the inner court, Reese, Feyre, everyone. And so she's basically been given an ultimatum. It's like, come train with Cassian, spend time in the library, figure out your life, or we send you back to the human world kind of a situation. So that's what's going on. She's chosen to stay and train for now, obviously, because we need her and Cassian to interact more. So she's back at the House of Winds and back in her old room. But she seems to have her powers, even though Elaine doesn't. But we also see in the prologue that she did something while she was in the cauldron. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things develop from here. I am very invested and very intrigued. I'll probably do another 50 pages or so and check in with you again. But right now I'm very invested and very excited to see how Nesta puts herself back together. So I've just read another chunk. I just finished chapter 8, so I'm a little over 100 pages in now. And the sparks between Nesta and Cassian are definitely there. Nesta, of course, is being a stubborn biddy. And I expected that of her because, you know, obviously she thinks she knows what's best, but clearly she really doesn't. And it's really interesting to watch her because clearly we're dealing with some PTSD with Nesta. And it's really interesting to see how Maas decided to come at the PTSD aspect of this one. Because it's different than how she chose to come at the PTSD in Crescent City. So I'm appreciating that they're different because PTSD is going to look different to everybody. And so in this one, you know, they've let Nesta, this is about a year, little over a year since the end of ACOWAR. So, you know, obviously she's resisting the training with Cassian. She's much more comfortable with the library stuff because that was an order as well. She trains with Cassian and then she goes to work in the library. But the library stuff seems to be doing fine. And I had forgotten how, like, bookish Nesta was before all of this. Like, that part of herself just kind of died. So I think the library stuff is going to help bring that back for her. So it's still very interesting. I'm still very intrigued. The sexual banter between them is fantastic. I'm definitely here for that. And I'm ready for them to just, you know, go at each other already, you know. And it's feeling very like enemies to lovers at the moment just because she feels like she has to push everybody away. And so she's pushing Cassian away, even though she remembers everything he said in Aquawar to her. And it's good, but it's like, I really want Nesta to like snap out of it and start living her actual life. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think I'll probably do another 100 pages before I jump in unless something major happens. But I'm still really enjoying this. Like, it's good. Like, if you like Maas, this is good. This is peak Maas. It's awesome. Okay, so I've read about another 100 pages. I just finished chapter 16. And I feel like Nesta is finally finding her place in the world. And that's something that's been missing from her since all of this big change for her. And I'm really liking the direction of this. It is a take on empowering women who feel weak and society says that they're weak. And so I really like this, and I love that Cassian's supportive of it, and I like what's happening between them, and I love the house. I love the house so much. Oh my goodness. The house and I would be best friends. We'll just put it that way. And I like I say, I really am loving this. I think so far this is my favorite Maas book by a long shot. I really love what she's done with this so far. I really am excited to see how things progress. And I like the friendship that Nesta's making outside of the core group. You know, we have this core group we've been following for the other series. So I like that Nesta's making her own friends. It makes it more special for her and more realistic after going through the kind of trauma that she did. So, like I say, I'm here for this. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it. Okay, so I just finished part 1, and it was so good. I adored everything that happened. I see Nesta growing and changing and wanting things for herself, and that is so healthy and so good, especially after a PTSD kind of thing. I see Cassian learning what she needs and wanting to learn what she needs, which is fantastic. Some smutty things have happened, not full-blown things like I want, but what's happened has been marvelous and lovely thus far, and I'm really excited to see how that continues. And Nesta has a purpose right now, and I really like that with what's going on with the library and her wanting to train some of the priestesses in the library so that they feel strength and calm and comfort, and it's so good. I'm really genuinely so excited for how this book is going to continue. Like, I just continue to love it. So I've read the first like 25 chapters of 80, so I'm like over a quarter of the way through now. I think I'm going to take a break from reading for a while, do some dinner prep, spend some time with the hubby. He's got game night with his buddies tonight, so I'll probably read some more after that. But I'm not sure if I'll check in again tonight. It might be tomorrow. I don't know. Depends on how much I get read and if I need to stop and talk to you guys. We'll see what happens. So it's actually been like, let's see, the last time I updated you was Tuesday. It's now Thursday. And I only read about 75 pages in A Court of Silver Flames yesterday. I just wasn't in a big reading mood yesterday, and some things happened in the book that I think kind of just made me pause for a minute. So obviously this is a spoiler vlog. This will be the most spoilery thing I've talked about thus far. So if you're here, not for spoilers, it's time to leave because I really need to talk about some of this. So since we last chatted, we now know that Feyre is pregnant and that Feyre's baby has wings. And so now we have this subplot where Feyre could die giving birth to this baby. And I don't know how I feel about it. Like, the solutions that, you know, normally you would come up with in a situation like this, she's intentionally kind of like taken away in a sense. And so, like, it's just annoying because it feels like unnecessary drama, and that this whole like subplot is like out of left field. And, you know, I understand she wants to bring Feyre and Rhys into this plot line a little bit more. Sure, fine. Why do you have to make it a like possible life-threatening pregnancy to do that? It just feels like a low blow. Maybe that's the infertility side of me coming out, but I just don't enjoy that choice in a subplot right now. I mean, I'm still really loving the book outside of this subplot. Take the subplot out and it's a perfect book to me. So I'm just struggling a little bit, but I'm going to put my Forest app on my phone and I'm going to buckle down and get some reading in today. And I would love to get this finished today if I can. That's like the stretch goal for me, is to finish today. But at the very least, I want to get to like a little over 500 pages if I can today, and then finish it up tomorrow if I can't just buckle down and finish today. So that's kind of my goal. I've got some other things I want to get to reading, obviously, but I am enjoying the writing. I do think Sarah J. Maas should definitely only write adult from now on. She's exploring that adult side really well with this novel. Crescent City, I think she tried but played it a little safe. Hopefully the future books in that series read a little more like this one. I think this is my favorite written book from her, despite this unnecessary subplot. So, I mean, like, there's enough going on in the regular plot. We don't need this subplot. So it just feels unnecessary to add to page length or something. I don't know. But anyway, maybe it'll play a part later. I don't know. I just don't know. So with that said, I'm going to dive in and get some reading in. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half since my last clip, and I've gotten a significant chunk more into A Court of Silver Flames. I take the dust jacket off because I don't want to damage it, even though this cover isn't that pretty, but that's a discussion for another day. So when it comes to this book, Nesta and Cassian are like going at it, but she refuses to acknowledge how deeply she feels for Cassian, and that's a problem, obviously. So from there, you know, of course they're not finding anything for Feyre because that's the drama that we're going with. But some really cool things have happened. She was able to get down one of the items from the trove that we've been looking for. That's part of the bigger plot. And we've got a lot of character growth on Nesta's part. I feel like she is a very different person than she was at the beginning of the book, which is good. She has a purpose. She has a meaning. She's trying to bring back the Valkyries, which I love that plot line so much. Like, there's so much about it to love. Like, it's just so empowering and amazing. And I love the direction of that. But there's kind of like a dark side of this coin, because Nesta's magic is death magic, essentially. And what she did is Cassian took her to understand like how weapons are made so that she has more respect for him now that she's been getting training. And she worked on 3 pieces, and what they didn't know at the time is that she embedded her magic in these 3 pieces. So now they are just kind of this new trove, and Amren is trying to make Rhys become High King of like all of the Fey lands rather than just his night court. And he's like, I don't want it. I don't want to be a ruler. She's like, it's your birthright. He's like, I don't care. I don't want it. And so I think that's going to be a side plot as well as the pregnancy side plot going on here. But Nesta doesn't fully understand her powers, but they've been doing a lot of, her and the other priestesses that are training to fight, as well as Emery, who's kind of been in a domestic abuse almost kind of situation with her family, is getting training as well. And I love that. I love that they're trying to basically do self-defense as a way of like helping them cope with their traumas. It's really quite amazing. I quite like that. And they've brought Azrael into the training as well, which has been really nice. There's a lot this book is doing right, and the sex scenes are fantastic, very graphic, like very choice, very top tier. This is definitely a fantasy romance. Let's be real. I mean, it's what Maas has always done, but this is like an adult fantasy romance, and it's good. The only thing I'm still not liking is that Feyre and Rhysand baby side plot. Like, that's the only thing I don't like about this book. Everything else is fantastic. I really like the characters. The only one I'm struggling with is Amren, really, because I feel like something's up with Amren. She has not been her normal self like this entire novel. And I have this feeling that there's a bigger reason why. I might be boo-boo the fool on that, but I really just feel like there's a bigger thing at play when it comes to Amren. And I know that like her and Nesta had it out at the summer solstice before the book started, but it's one of those things where there's something else going on. Like there has to be a bigger catalyst as to why Amren's still being so resentful towards her. And I don't know if it's because they're starting to understand her magic. Like, I don't get it yet. But there's a good chance I'm going to finish this today. Like, the momentum, now that I got into it, is really good. I'm just shy. I'm like at 475 pages. And this is about a 750-ish page book. So I've got like 250-ish pages left. And so I think if I buckle down, do a couple more rounds on Forest, I should be able to finish things up. And that makes me really happy. Like I say, I'm really enjoying this. Right now, it's still, despite that stupid subplot, it's still sitting at 5 stars for me. I know the book isn't perfect, and I'm never going to say it is, but I am thoroughly enjoying my time with it. And for me, that and the quality writing of the sex scenes makes it worth a 5-star. Whether it's going to be like an all-time favorite, I don't know. So far, it's my favorite Maas book, so it'll probably be on my top books of the year. But whether it's a new all-time favorite, I don't know. So this is only the first book in a series, too. So I think it's only going to get better from here. And I do think she's going to take what she learns from writing this and incorporate it more into the Crescent City series. And I'm really looking forward to how that series is going to progress. So now that I went on a little tangent there, I'm going to read some more. Okay, so I actually just finished part 2 of A Court of Silver Flames. And so the whole subplot with Feyre and the baby obviously comes to a head because no one's been wanting to tell Feyre what's going on. And now all of a sudden, you know, Nesta blows a gasket and is mad and ends up telling Feyre what's happening with the baby. And, you know, Feyre's reasonable. She's like, I'm mad at all of you for keeping it from me, but I understand it wasn't coming from a place of hate. It was coming from a place of love and all these kinds of things. So Cassian takes Nesta away and basically makes her hike herself into exhaustion to the point where she breaks down. And he was expecting like rage and hurt and, you know, maybe to have her be a punching bag for her. But what he doesn't expect is for her to break down and cry and tell him everything, that she blames herself for the death of their father and all these kinds of things. And I do think what Cassian says to her is great. He's like, it's not going to go away easily. I've dealt with stuff like this for 50 years at a time, and I still don't feel worthy of the people who love me in my life. And, you know, only you basically can choose to be worthy of it. You have to forgive yourself. And so it's one of those things where she talks about triggers for her panic attacks and for her PTSD. And he understands how insensitive he'd been to parts of it, but at the same time, she'd never shared it. And so it was this great moment of growth for them. But, you know, I hate that this stupid subplot was the reason why. I mean, the whole thing could have only been the confrontation with Amryn and like blowing up with her and things like that. Like, I felt like the pregnancy was essentially used as a plot device, and I don't love that that was a choice, personally. So that's just, you know, personal opinion Shay here for you. So anyhow, I don't know how much I'm going to check in through the last part of this book. If I get super emotional, I'll probably stop and talk about it. But I don't know how much I'm going to stop in the next little bit. Because I'm now... Oh, I didn't even look at the page count when I stopped. I'm now over the 500 page mark. I wasn't that far off from part 2 yet. Ending part 2 yet. So I've got about 200 pages left. So I don't really want to fully spoil everything in case someone is watching this far and they haven't watched the, you know, and they haven't read the book. So I'm really, you know, obviously invested in the book. And I've got my forest app that's been super helpful. So I will just forest it up for an hour or so. I just got to a point where I can unlock a new thing to grow in my forest. So I think I'm going to do some mushrooms or something fun like that. So if you aren't using Forest, it's really great to focus because it basically takes all the notifications like off your phone. Essentially, like you don't really see them till the time's up, and it doesn't do like noises and stuff. Oh, sorry. Until you're done. So I really like that a lot. So I'm gonna forest it up for another hour or so, and then maybe check in with you. I don't know. We'll see how things go for the next little while, and I'll chat with you soon. Right, so I've got about 100 pages left. We are clearly headed into the final conflict of the novel. Things between Cassian and Nesta have really grown and blossomed. Nesta's making friends. She's growing. She's made amends with people she should have made amends with long ago. And she is stubbornly refusing the word mate for kind of a silly reason. But at the same time, in her circumstances, it does make sense. And so she called in her bargain with Cassian and says, you have to go sleep at the House of Wind for a night, and you cannot talk to me until I talk to you or a week has gone by. And now something has happened to her, and they're in the middle of their bargain. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens now. So it's one of those things where I have ideas as to how this is going to go, but I don't want to play Boo Boo the Fool right now. So once I've finished, I will come back, we'll wrap this vlog, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Okay, friends, so I was just editing this vlog together, and I realized I never properly closed out this video. So I did end up giving this book 5 stars. This is not a perfect book, and I'm never going to say that it is. But I do have to say that I absolutely loved and adored it. I thought it was so fun. I thought Cassian and Nesta's like love story was fantastic. He was able to empower her in a way that she needed and no one else understood that she needed. And he gave her space and time. And I just appreciate that he did that for her. I also really appreciate that Nesta still remained with some of her power by the end. So the big crux at the end ended up being the fact that Nesta had stolen magic, and so she was being punished by Faber, Rhysand, and the baby all having to die. And so what she ends up doing is giving the magic back to the cauldron that she had stolen. And she keeps saying, take it back, take it back, take it back, take it back. And that moment, like, I understood the choice for that. But at the same time, I felt like it cheapened some of the growth that she went through. I mean, she had to get to that point where she could even be willing to do that. But I still think she deserved a little bit more. Like I say, this is my favorite Maas novel to date. And I stand by that statement wholeheartedly. It is so well written. It is so good. I think she really needs to stay in her lane when it comes to adult fantasy romance. I think that's where she's going to thrive. And I cannot wait to see whose story we get next. My guess is Elaine and Lucian, but you know, that's just speculation. Who knows what's going to happen next? There's a lot of different ways she could take it, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on A Court of Silver Flames down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.